والصلاة على رسول الله الكريم الكتاب بداية الهداية الشيخ أبو حميد الخزالي رحمه الله تعالى ونفعنا بعلومه بكم مسائر الصالحين في الدارين آمين.
Can you read on page 60 from the paragraph Do Not Rejoice?
Yeah. The chapter under preparation for the other prayers, page 60. Do not rejoice except in an increase of knowledge or an increase of good works. Truly they are your two friends who will accompany you in your grave, when your spouse, your wealth, and your children, and your friends will remain behind. Then when the sun turns red, make your effort to return to the mosque before the sunset and occupy yourself in glorifying Allah and seeking forgiveness. The special merit of this time is comparable to the special merit of the time before sunrise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, glorify your Lord with praise before the rise of the sun and before its setting. Before sunset, recite وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا and وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَى, and the two chapters of protection which are Al-Falaq and An-Nas. The sun should set while you are begging for forgiveness. When you hear the call to prayer, repeat after it and then pray, O Allah, I ask of you at the approach of your night and the retreat of your day, at the advent of your prayer, and the voices engaged in calling on you to grant Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam a place near you, as previously mentioned. After responding to the call to commence, perform the obligatory prayer. Follow it with 2 rak'ah before speaking. These are the sunnah prayers of Maghrib. If you perform after them a further 4, lengthening them a little, that is also a sunnah. If it is possible for you to intend being in retreat in the mosque until Isha, and you enliven this time with prayer, do so, for what has been related of its greatness is beyond measure, and it is called the vigil of the night, because it is the beginning of the night, and the prayer in it is the prayer of the after returning. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was asked about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words, their sides forsake their beds of sleep. And he said sallallahu alayhi wasallam, this is the prayer between the two Ishas, that is, Maghrib and Isha. It cleanses one of the nonsense committed during the day and rectifies the end of it. Iraqi from Muslim al-Daylami. When the time of Isha comes, perform 4 rak'ahs before the obligatory prayer to enliven the time between the call to prayer and the call to commence, for its virtue is immense. It states in a narration, supplication between the call to prayer and the call to commence is never rejected. Perform the obligatory rak'ah of Isha, then 2 sunnah rak'ahs reciting in them Surah Sajda and Mulk or Surah Yasin and Ad-Dukhan, as this has been related from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then pray the 4 rak'ahs, since that which indicates its great merit has been mentioned in the narrations. Then perform the witr as 3 rak'ahs, either with 2 salams in a set of 2 followed by a single rak'ah, or with 1 salam in a set of 3 altogether. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to recite in them Surah Al-A'la, Al-Kafirun, Al-Ikhlas, and the 2 chapters of protection, Surah Al-Falaq and An-Nas. If you have resolved to perform the night vigil, delay the witr so that it is your last prayer of the night. After this, work on reviewing your knowledge or studying books. Do not spend your time in amusement and entertainment. In doing so, making them the closing works of your day before you sleep, for actions are according to the last of them.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. All praises are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who is pleased with a little, and He grants us in return abundance. He accepts the minute and He turns it into great. He accepts the temporal and He grants us an everlasting reward therefore. Salutations and peace and blessings be upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the best from amongst Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation, who knew how to draw the mercy of Allah and His pleasure and His satisfaction. and the one who taught us how to utilize the keys to the doors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد مفتاح باب رحمة الله عدد ما في علم الله صلاة وسلاما دائمين بدوام ملك الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Al-Imam al-Ghazali continues in the chapter of preparing oneself for the prayers and the guidances through the day, and he says a person should not rejoice in any worldly things, in any matters that relates to the dunya. Rather, he should rejoice for him increasing in knowledge and increasing in good actions. He says they are your two friends who will accompany you in your qabr. Your knowledge and your good deeds will accompany you in your qabr. Your knowledge will come in the form, your knowledge and the Quran will come in the form, including your deeds, will come in the form of a beautiful person. And that person will remain your companion until the day of Qiyamah. And none of the worldly possessions will go with you in your qabr. The pharaohs have attempted it. From Egypt, they buried with him their relics and their possessions and their gold and their jewelry and their valuables. And the result of that is people came to unearth it later on and they benefited from it. It's currently sitting in the museums. فَلَا انْتَفَعُوا بِهِ. It was of no benefit to them. They believed that the person would be resurrected, but he'd be resurrected with whatever is with him. And therefore they took with them whatever they had of possessions that they desired to be resurrected with. They were right in the aspect of resurrection, but they missed the aspect of what you resurrected with. In that you're only resurrected with your good deeds, not with your worldly possessions. They managed to preserve bodies for a very long period of time in the manner in which they prepared the bodies and how they wrapped it. But that was the worldly aspect of preservation. And they were unaware of the fact that a person who is his heart is sound and his soul is connected to Allah, and he's removed the veils between him and Allah Ta'ala by purifying his heart, then no family and no friends would need to would need to prepare the body in order for it to be preserved. But Allah will make the body remain preserved. Allah will let the body remain preserved. And this is a reality within our community and around the world. How many people we've heard of, they've unearthed one would say they opened the qabr, and when opening the qabr they realized that after 30 years the person's body is still completely intact. This happened on so many occasions, including within our own country, in Constantia, Maqbara, one of our Lansdowne residents. He narrated this to me. It was a family member of his, a grandfather. This very narration I've heard from at least another 2-3 sources which I regard to be reliable. One of them was a scholar that had the janazah. And after 30 years, the son passed away, and the son wanted to be buried with the father. And when they opened the qabr, the Imam narrates to me, the Sheikh had the janazah, he narrates, and he says he came to the maqbara in Constantia, and the people were standing around the maqbara, and they couldn't continue because the maqbara still had the wood that was placed there. So they wanted to know by the Sheikh, now what must they do? So the Sheikh said, what, whose qabr is this? They said, this is the qabr of the grandfather. When did he pass away? He passed away more than 20 years ago. And he says, Sheikh, that the wood, all of the wood, looked as if it was just placed yesterday. There's only one wood which by his head that changed a little bit color, that discolored the head part. One or two planks by the head that discolored, but all the other wood like it was just put yesterday. They opened up and the coffin was still completely intact. The body was intact. So the Sheikh said, I told him, must close the qabr and they must dig another hole. Allah. And then when we inquired what is the reason that the person attained the station, so the family said that he was a person of dhikr. He loved to make dhikr. And he used to visit the karamas quite often. So visit the salihin. So go sit there and make dhikr. And he used to attend the khatams of the Quran. Whenever there was a khatam, he used to go. And that is what preserves the body. And that is what remains after the person passes away. The norm of this world in terms of the laws of physics is that the body should not have stayed like that. Bring the scientists and tell them, please explain this phenomenon. They're not going to be able to explain it. They're going to say, this person wasn't buried 30 years ago. You must be mistaken. I think this person was put in his qabr yesterday. But then you tell them, okay, yesterday, let's see what his body looks like. Even if it was yesterday, there should be some signs of decaying. Absolutely no signs of decaying. Absolutely no. Hayyun tari, he's fresh. So if that is the case, that we've witnessed with our own eyes these things happen in front of us, what do you think was the state of the Prophets, Anbiya? And what's the state of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And why is people questioning the fact that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is alive in his qabr? Why is still an issue of discussion? Allah Ta'ala guide us, Ya Rabbil Alameen, to that which is correct with him, the haqq with him. Ameen, Ya Rabbil Alameen. And he says, وَلَا تَفْرَحْ إِلَّا بِزِيَارَةِ عِلْمِ وَعَمَلْ صَالِحٍ فَإِنَّهُمَا رَفِيقَاكَ. They will be your companions, going with you in your qabr. حَيْثُ يَتَخَلَّفْ عَنْكَ أَهْلُكَ وَمَالُكَ وَوَلَدُكَ وَأَصْدِقَاكَ. Who leaves you? Who turns away? Who leaves the qabr? Your family, your spouse, your children, your wealth, your friends, all of them, they leave. They leave you behind. Your wife that loves you so much, she leaves you behind. The wife, the very same wife that said, I will never ever leave you. I will never ever leave you. The same husband that said, I'll never ever leave you. They want to leave you. Ask the wife there at the qabr, tell the wife or the husband. Some of them are too scared to get in the qabr to put their wife, to bury their wife. I tell you, okay, stay there, stay in the qabr. We cover you also with planks and you lay next to your wife. How much do you love her now? Because she's really fine. Eh? For 30 years you've been going to bed next to that same person. Yeah, but not tonight. Al-afu minkum, tonight, not tonight. Why? Because Allah says everyone is going to leave. Rasulullah says everyone is going to leave. You have to come to Allah alone. Come to Allah alone. So where is the wealth that you worked for? The money that you have given your entire life, you've sacrificed, and you told yourself, I'm working for my children, I'm working for my wife, I'm working for a better life, I'm working to secure them the future. You're going to be answerable for for having to secure their future. You're going to be answerable for all that time that you've wasted in not making ibadah, neglecting your knowledge, neglecting attending gatherings, neglecting studying your deen, neglecting your essentials of your deen. Why? Because all in the name of I want to secure for my family a better life. How do you secure your family a better life in no disobedience of Allah? Do you not know that the one who protects you in the womb of your mother is the one who protects your family after you leave? Ya hada, do you not know that Allah is the best of protectors? Do you think that your work and your policies and your investments is going to secure them a better future? No. By Allah, it's a deceived person. Allah says, وَلْيَخْشَ الَّذِينَ لَوْ تَرَكُوا مِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّةً ضِعَافًا خَافُوا عَلَيْهِمْ. Those who fear that they will leave behind children and offspring that are weak, and they fear for them. What must they do? What must they do? They must work day and night, and they must work overtime, and they must give them the hundreds of thousands and millions. No. 2 words. فَلْيَتَّقُوا اللَّهِ. Let them fear Allah. وَلْيَقُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا. Second advice, fear Allah. Speak words that are upright. Live a good life. Don't live a double standard. Live a good life. Once you've done that, Allah Ta'ala will preserve your children, your wife, your offspring, those who you would have never ever seen in your life. Through your barakah, Allah will preserve them. Do you not read the story in the Quran? Allah speaks to us in the Quran. That's why we need to read the Quran with and understand what Allah says. In the story of Sayyidina Musa and Al-Khadir, 3 instances. The one, he damaged the ship. The second one, he killed the boy. The third one, he built a wall. The third one, when he built a wall, that wall belonged to who? 2 orphans. There was a treasure under the wall. The people were stingy, and there was a tyrant ruler, and they would have usurped that wealth under the wall. But that wealth was not placed there by their father. It was 3-4 generations up. كان أبوهما صالحا. Allah says, their father, he was actually a great grandfather. He was a pious person. And he, on account of that, Allah Ta'ala preserved the wealth for those boys. So not only did it benefit his children, his grandchildren, and his great-grandchildren, they benefited because of the piety of the forefathers. So if you desire that your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren and your offspring until the day of Qiyamah, they must be steadfast, they must be good Muslims, they must be protected. فَلْيَتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَلْيَقُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا. Fear Allah and speak words that are upright. Speak words that are correct, that are sound. Don't let your tongue say something and your actions contradicts it. So your wife leaves you, and your children leave you, and your wealth leaves you, and your friends leave you. And Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib, he says, واستبدلت زوجتي بعلا لها بدلي وصيرته على أهلي ومالي وولدي. And my wife, she found another husband besides me, and she made him in charge of my children. He started telling my children around my wife's husband. وتقاسم الأهل مالي بعد أن صرفوا وصار وزري على ظهري فأثقلني. And my family, they split my wealth after I was buried. They benefited, and the sins and the burdens that was on my shoulders. I needed to answer for it. That is a reality. The house that we live in will not remain our house forever. I'm beautifying the house, but I'm beautifying for someone else. The car that I'm driving eventually will become someone else's car. I'm collecting cars, and I haven't driven this car for a year because I'm too scared that this car's going to get a scratch. Comes someone else and he buys it and he smashes the car, he damages the car. Or the son inherits the car, gets into the car and he pranks the car. Or he gives it, the father, he invested 10 years to build up this project, and the son gives it away for a song. 10 years of your life. 10 years of your life. And after 10 years, when you built your masterpiece, the person didn't appreciate it. The person who received it doesn't appreciate it the way you, and just gave it away. How much you want? Give me 5,000. Take it for 5,000. Khalas. I don't know why my daddy spends so much time on this. It's a piece of junk in any case. That is the dunya. Not only is that a piece of junk, the whole dunya is a piece of junk. The whole dunya is a piece of junk. And the people fighting over the dunya and killing each other and lying and stealing and deceiving, they lying and stealing and deceiving over a piece of junk. And that is how the Salihin, they view this dunya. And that's how they view the people that are fighting over a piece of junk. A piece of scrap metal, plastic that is maybe. Metal is still worth it. You can take it to the scrapyard and you can get money for it. A piece of plastic that no one wants to pick up. And everyone comes from a corner and they're busy killing each other for this piece of broken plastic. It's worthless. The dunya is more worthless than that in the sight of Allah. More worthless. Allah. But then we spend our entire life, after our life is now done fighting, cheating, deceiving. Now we go into the qabr and Allah asks us, what were you spending your life on? Ya Allah, I was spending it on this and that and that. My slave, did you not know that I am the one who gives and I am the one who takes? Did you not know if you made me the priority, I would have made your needs the priority? Did you not know that I've created the dunya for you and created you for me? Had you obeyed me, I would have made the dunya subservient to you. As a result of that, you obeyed the dunya and you neglected me, and I made you run around in the dunya like an animal running around in the jungle for its prey. And what did you get from it except agony and pain and anxiety and depression and suffering? And today, what do you have to show me, my slave? Where are you? What did you do for me? What did you do for me? Oh, my slave, what did you do? If Allah asks that question on the day of Qiyamah, my slave, what did you do for me? What do you have to show for me? Show me. اقرأ كتابك. Here's your book in front of you. اقرأ كتابك. Read your book. Where am I in your life? Where was I in your life? Allah, yeah, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes. How much is that altogether? Altogether 60 minutes and 23 hours. Where was I in your life? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us to see the reality of this dunya. One of the greatest benefits in this dunya, if Allah desires khair for His slave, is that Allah grants him to see the reality of the world. Allah grants, before he closes his eyes, Allah grants him to see the reality. Because the world, the dunya unmasks itself. It's currently veiled. A female that is veiled, that female looks ugly. She is the most ugliest female you've ever seen in your life. The most ugliest. You can imagine, old, no one is interested in her if she was to be unveiled. But she's masked. And she's pretending to be with her jewelry. She's got jewelry around her. She's got thick gold around her neck. She's got bracelets around her feet. And her gold is making everyone, the way it's shining, and the stones, the gemstones, everyone is just deceived by that. Everyone is just deceived by that. Everyone wants, they're attacking, they're getting married to the daughter of Shaitan. They say the dunya is the daughter of Shaitan. The one who marries her must be prepared for the father to enter the house. The father enters the house. Once the person closes his eyes, now she takes a niqab off. She takes a parda off. She removes a veil. And then he feels so disgusted by himself. Allah says, لَقَدْ كُنْتَ فِي غَفْلَةٍ مِّنْ هَذَا in the Quran. You have been heedless about this. My Prophet told you. I told you in the Quran. The Salihin told you. The ulama told you. لَقَدْ كُنْتَ فِي غَفْلَةٍ مِّنْ هَذَا. You are in the state of heedless about this. فَكَشَفْنَا عَنْكَ غِطَاءَكَ. We now remove the veil. فَبَصَرُكَ الْيَوْمَ حَدِيدٌ. Your sight is now very powerful. What do you see? And then it's too late. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us and protect us. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. He says, ثُمَّ إِذَا صَفَرَّتِ الشَّمْسِ. So when the sun goes, when the sun turns red, make your effort to return to the mosque before the sunset and occupy yourself in glorifying Allah and seeking forgiveness. The special merit of this time is comparable to the special merits of the time before the sunrise. Allah Almighty, Most Majestic, says, glorify your Lord with praise before the sunrise and before the sunrise of the sun and before its setting. Before sunset, recite Surah Al-Shams and Surah Al-Duha. Allahu Akbar. And والمعوذتين, and the المعوذتين is قل أعوذ برب الفلق and قل أعوذ برب الناس. ولتغرب عليك الشمس وأنت في الاستغفار. Let sun sit upon you while you are making istighfar. Let sun sit while you're making. Oh, those who love to see sunsets. People that go and they go over the mountain to see sunset. MashaAllah. Let the sun sit while your sun is sitting. Nothing wrong. Go watch the sunset. Make istighfar. Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. But I'm looking at in the eyes of my wife at that time. I'm looking at the eyes and make istighfar. Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Why are you making istighfar? Why are you making istighfar? Look in my eyes and say, I make istighfar for ever thinking that anyone was more beautiful than you. Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Allahu Akbar. Now, the question many times arises, while we're at this point, many times people say, Sheikh, you're speaking about the dunya like this, and you're making us feel that we shouldn't even be engaging in dunya. No, that's never been the call of any of the salihin, of any of the ulama. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he encouraged people to go and work. What do you do? What do you do in this instance? Let your body be in the dunya and let your heart be with Allah. Even in act of ibadah, Allah doesn't desire our bodies. Allah desires our hearts. And therefore, a person that can't stand and make salah is permitted to sit and make salah. If you can't sit, he's permitted to lay and make salah, because the actions is not the intention. Intention is your heart, the presence of the heart. The person who makes salah or makes ibadah without the presence of the heart is like a person that is giving a white Arabian horse stallion to a king, but it is a dead horse. It's beautiful, everything. Number one breed. This type of breed is worth 2 million rand when it was alive. The person brings the king, this is a 2 million rand breed. طيب وين ايش بحصل منه؟ ايش بسوي به؟ What must I do with it? What can I get from it? Nothing. So the essence of ibadah, the essence of anything is the heart. Now a person say, okay, but Sheikh, how can I be in a state where my heart is with Allah, but I'm working? I must be focused on my work. I'll give you an example. Mullah Sharm al-Ras gave this example once in the Jummah. He says, this person's got a brother. His brother, he loves his brother very much. His brother became sick, and his brother was rushed to hospital. He went to hospital and he went to go visit his brother. When he came to visit the brother, he got bad news that the brother doesn't have long to live. Stage 4 cancer. He's sick and he's got maybe a few hours, a few days. After he comes back from the hospital, he's on his way back home. He's driving. As he's driving back home, he's thinking about this, and he's thinking about that, and he's thinking about his brother. And as he's taking his turn, he's thinking about his brother. And as he pulls up by his work, he's busy doing his work, but he's thinking about his brother. His heart, he comes home, he's eating his food, but he's thinking about his brother. His entire mind is preoccupied with his brother that is sick. Happens or not? We do it, right? We do it. They say, hakada. He's engaged doing what he needs to do. He's working, he's doing everything, but his mind and his heart is preoccupied constantly with his brother. So you do what you need to do, but your mind and your heart is constantly preoccupied with Allah. Don't allow your heart to be snatched by anyone. There's no space in my heart for anything other than Allah. My heart is the most valuable thing. My heart is that which Allah Ta'ala looks upon. If Allah Ta'ala sees within it other than Him, how will Allah feel? Allah does not want to be shared. Allah refuses to be shared. أَنَا أَغْنَى الشُّرَكَاءِ عَنِ الشِّرْكِ. I don't want to be a partner in anything. I want to be the soul and the one alone in that person's life, in his heart. As soon as you place something contrary to Allah in it, Allah Ta'ala leaves the heart. You place the dunya, Allah leaves the heart. So the answer would be, engage in your worldly activities, do your work, fulfill it to the best of your ability. In fact, part of Iman is to perfect your work, to do it to the best of your ability. That is what Rasulullah told us. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ إِذَا عَمِلَ أَحَدُكُمْ عَمَلًا أَنْ يُتْقِنَهُ. He must do it to the best of his ability. So perfect it. But let your heart always be with Allah. Let your heart always be present with Allah. And when your heart is always present with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you engage people and you're doing your work, the person Allah will grant that through even your worldly things, without you saying it, without you speaking the deen, that person will be affected. Why? Because what is in your heart pours out onto your limbs. It must. إن في القلب لمضغة إن في الجسد لمضغة إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله. The heart is the control unit. If that is sound, everything that emanates from the limbs becomes sound. No cheating, no stealing, no lying, no deceiving. The best of actions comes from that heart. And then without the person even wanting to say it, he is just constantly speaking about Allah. He is. Where he goes, he remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he reminds others of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore Imam al-Ghazali in this chapter speaks about how a person should split one's time, and one should manage one's time, and one should balance one's day, and it should be around the ibadat. فَإِذَا سَمِعْتَ الْأَذَانِ. When you hear the adhan, فَأَجِبْهُ. Then you respond to the adhan. وقل بعده اللهم إني أسألك عند إقبال ليلك وإدبار نهارك وحضور صلاتك وأصوات دعاتك أن تؤتي محمدا الوسيلة عند تنتهي دعاء والفضيلة والشرف والدرجة العالية الرفيعة وأحث المقام المحمود الذي وعدته يا أرحم الراحمين. When you hear the adhan, when the waqt of which waqt comes in now? Maghrib. ثم صلي الفرض بعد جواب المؤذن والإقامة. Then perform your fard after making the dua, the adhan after responding to the mu'adhin and iqamah. Remember, responding to iqamah is also part of the sunnah. To say exactly what the Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة لا حول ولا قوة حي على الصلاة لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. قد قامت الصلاة أقامها الله وأدامها. Oh, and you can add ما دامت السماوات والأرض وجعلني من صالحي أهلها. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. So you respond to the إقامة as you respond to the أذان. وصلي بعده قبل أن تتكلم ركعتين فهما راتب المغرب. After you completed your Maghrib Salah, perform 2 rak'ahs after it. Because that is the ratib, that sunnah mu'akkada, confirmed sunnah from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Recite in قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ and قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. That's the sunnah. Rasulullah recite قُلْ يَا الْكَافِرُونَ in the first rak'ah, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ in the second rak'ah. And if you perform 4 rak'ahs after that, فَهُنَّ أَيْضًا sunnah. If you perform 4 rak'ahs after that, it's also sunnah. That is, Imam al-Ghazali refers to Salat al-Awwabin. Salat al-Awwabin is different narrations. Some say 4. The least that's narrated is 2. Then 4. And then 6. And there is also a narration that says that it is 20 rak'ahs. 20 rak'ahs. But the narration that says 6 rak'ahs, Al-Imam al-Bujayrami, he said, in the hadith of the Prophet he says, صلى الله عليه وسلم من صلى بعد المغرب 6 ركعات لم يتكلم بينهن عدلنا عبادة 12 سنة. The person who performs after Maghrib Salah, he performs 6 rak'ahs, he doesn't speak between the 6, then it is equivalent to the ibadah of 12 years. 12 years of ibadah. 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, and then 84, and then 96, 8 days. 8 days equivalent to 90, almost a century of ibadah. Just 8 days if you're consistent with Salat al-Awwabin, almost equivalent to a century of ibadah. I mean, most people don't live 96 years. just 8 days of Salat al-Awwabin. Right? وإن صليت بعده, and then can I make Salat Sunnat al-Maghrib and then make intention Salat al-Awwabin as well? نعم. ومن النوافل التي يجوز إدخالها, you can join between the two, so you can make your Maghrib ratiba and add it to the nafil of Salat al-Awwabin. So you perform your 2 Maghrib and your 2 Awwabin. If you wish, you can add even Salat al-Istikhara in it, because it's recommended. Our teachers advise that a person should have 2 istikharas every day. One he performs after Fajr, before Fajr, for the day, and one he performs after Maghrib for the evening. So he's constantly in a state of istikhara, constantly asking Allah guidance. So whenever he makes decisions, he's asking Allah Ta'ala to guide him through his day in whatever decisions he has to make. So before Fajr, some of the scholars, they used to say you make it tahajjud time. Some of the scholars used to say make it tahajjud time. Others used to say you make it Salatul Duha time. But then tahajjud still forms part of the evening, right? Fajr forms part of the day. And then it's best to perform it when the day starts. So those who said Salatul Duha, Habib Umar said that I have a bit of an issue with the one for Duha, because what happens from the time of Fajr when the day starts until Duha, then I haven't made istikhara for that time. So you said it's best I make it Salatul, when the adhan of Fajr goes over, make my sunnah, then at least I'm covered for that duration as well. I make for Fajr Salah, can add the intention of istikhara all the way up until Maghrib, that is when the day enters, when the night enters, and then after Maghrib the sunnah istikhara for the evening. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, and may Allah ta'ala guide us to that which is best with Him. May Allah grant that whatever decisions we make for our deen, our dunya and our akhirah, it is best for us, and Allah guide us in making the right decisions for ourselves and our family and our children. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Alhamdulillah Rabbil.